All right, guys, we're here for 2:15, the Persian Wars. As I said in the daily agenda, this is both Thursday and Friday's assignment. So do it all at once, break it up, whatever you want to do. Remember, you can hit pause at any time to fill in the empty spaces. All right, so yesterday we talked about the Persian Empire. All right, we know the Persian Empire has grown with Cyrus the Great, Cambyses, and then Darius the First. And we see that looks like Greece might be the next target. All right, so let's make this a little bigger here. All right, so looking at the map, why do you think the Persians wanted to gain control of Greece? Look at the existing Persian Empire and where Greece is located on the map. Make sure you support your answer. Those of you that are at home, you can just type your response in the box. All right, let's go on to the next slide. If you need more time, you can hit pause and then fill your box in. All right, background information. So why does this whole thing start? All right, in 499 BC, several Greek cities in Asia Minor rebelled against Persian rule. To help their fellow Greeks, a few city-states from the mainland of Greece sent soldiers to join the fight against the Persians. The Persians put down the revolt, but Darius was still angry with the Greeks. He swore to get revenge on the Greeks. So basically, this part of the Persian Empire have Greek city-states. Right? Those Greek city-states revolt against Persian rule. The guys living over in Greece send help. Darius is like, this isn't your fight. What are you doing? All right, and he swears that he's going to get revenge on the Greeks that were assisting their fellow allies in Ionia. All right, so that is that part. That's how it all starts. All right, predict. You have learned about both societies, the Greeks and the Persians. Using previous knowledge, predict which society will win the Persian Wars. Make sure you use specific examples from our notes, classroom discussions, etc. No answer is wrong as long as it is well supported. So who do you think will win? So Greeks or Persians? And then tell me why. All right, moving on to our first battle. This is the Battle of Marathon. Remember, Persia's all the way over here in the east. And these are where our city-states were that were revolting against Persia rule. All right, Battle of Marathon is just outside of Athens. All right, that's where the boats land for the first battle of the Persian Wars. All right, so 9 years later, Darius invaded Greece through the plains of Marathon near Athens. The Athenian army had 11,000 soldiers, but had better weapons and strategies. And the Persian army had about 15,000 soldiers. The Greeks defeated a larger Persian force by luring them into the middle of their forces. The Athenians then surrounded and defeated the Persians. All right, this battle starts the Persian Wars. All right, so the Greek strategy, you can see that the Persians are invading off of a beach. The Greeks are going to kind of set up camp, a big chunk in the middle, a flank on one side, a flank on the other. And they're going to kind of lure in the Persians, like, come and get me, and pull them in. And then these guys are going to attack on the sides. If you want to learn more about the Greek armor, you can click the helmet. And hopefully it will take you to this Google slides about Greek and Persian weapons and armor. If it doesn't, there's nothing that's going to be quizzed on or anything, but you can just check that out on your own. All right, now remember, all this fighting is hand-to-hand combat. Like I've said in class multiple times, everything that's going to fight right now is really just a sharp stick. Whether that stick is made out of wood or metal, it's hand-to-hand combat. But also keep in mind that, you are looking that person in the eye that you are fighting. There's no real shooting at a distance going on here. All right, so after the Battle of Marathon, it's really unheard of that the Greeks should have won this battle, right? Like Persia's so much bigger, right? They have the much bigger army. They really should have just destroyed Greece, but they didn't. So Athens was so excited about their victory, they sent someone to run all the way back to Athens from Marathon to say of their victory. He gets to the center of town and he screams Nike, which means victory, and the guy collapses and dies. All right, and the distance he ran was 26.2 miles, and that is the distance of your your everyday marathon now. It comes from that distance that poor Schmo ran back from Marathon to Athens to let them know of the victory. All right. Okay, so moving right along. All right, so this is way later. Okay, so that's the first invasion with Darius. All right, now we're going to go to the second invasion of Greece. 10 years after the Battle of Marathon, Darius' son Xerxes I invaded Greece with 200,000 soldiers. The Greeks prepared for the invasion by visiting the oracle. The Greeks believed the god Apollo spoke through an oracle, a priestess named Pythia at the Temple of Delphi. She predicted that Greece would be safe from the Persians behind a wooden wall. The Athenian general Themistocles said, hey, the wooden wall means a fleet of ships. All right, and we need to defeat the Persians at sea. For the Themistocles strategy to work, the Greeks needed time to build these ships. They can't just go to a ship store, all right? They have to build them. All right, so they agreed that the Greek army would intercept the Persians at Thermopylae, a mountain pass north of Athens, to give the Greeks time to gather their fleet. Okay, so this is going to matter with the second invasion. So Darius is dead. His son Xerxes is going to actually run this second invasion of Greece, and it starts with the Battle of Thermopylae. All right, there are little, because of my picture here, let's see if I can get me to go away for a second. All right, there are little clips here for videos that you guys are more than welcome to watch. All right, but, all right, I just want to make sure you can see those. All right, so anyways, the second invasion we already talked about, and we're going to move on to Xerxes. All right, this is, if you've ever seen the movie 300, I'm not telling you to watch it because it is rated R and not appropriate. However, this is how Hollywood interprets him, and this is how like ancient historians interpret him. But Xerxes is the leader of Persia when they invade Greece for the second time. Battle of Thermopylae is a little bit further north. All right, and so this time, we're going to be led by Spartan King Leonidas. He sent about 7,000 soldiers to Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass, to slow the Persian army. So if we look back at this map, the whole point is to slow the Persian army so they can't get down to Athens. All right, they're just trying to slow them down. Remember, they're trying to get their ships built, all right, that wooden wall. All right, so the Persians had to cross this path to attack Greek cities. For 3 days, the small Greek force held off the Persian army, but eventually were attacked from the back, surrounded, and fought to their deaths. After winning the battle, the Persians swept into Athens, attacking and burning the city. And again, there's a video here for you to watch on the Battle of Thermopylae. All right, your next question to answer. The Persian army did not know their way around Greece, but they wanted to find a way to attack the Greeks from behind. They found a Greek traitor that showed them the way. Why do you think that Greek felt the need to turn against his own people? So he literally says, hey, there's another way around this mountain pass. Go this way. All right, basically showing them how to attack their own people. All right, so why would someone do that? You can type your response here. Again, no right or wrong answer. Just type your response there. All right, moving on. So Battle of Thermopylae again. All right, and you can see this long line of Persians, right? So these guys knew the Persians were coming. They knew they were going to be attacked from the back and from the front. And instead of running, all right, they stay. Because remember, the whole point is to slow the Persians down, all right, so they can get that fleet assembled for the next battle. So these guys knew when they woke up that morning, they weren't going to live to see another day. They were going to fight to the death in order to slow that Persian advance down. And you can see this long line of Persians waiting to go through the mountain pass on this side. And what you don't see on the other side of that picture is the long line of Persians coming the opposite direction. So these guys fight to their death. So, all right, so just something to think about there. This gets everyone kind of pumped up for the Battle of Salamis. This one is going to be at sea with that wooden wall, all right, so with boats. All right, so this is the Battle of Salamis, not Salamis. All right, a few days after Athens was burned, the Athenians defeated the Persian navy through a clever plan. So here's the deal. After they get through Thermopylae, Xerxes goes all the way into Athens and burns the city down. The good news is because the soldiers, the Spartans, were able to hold up the Persians for 3 days, most of Athens was evacuated. Like no one was there. So yeah, Xerxes burns the city down, but there's no one really there when he does it. All right. So a few days after Athens was burned, the Athenians defeated the Persian navy through a clever plan. The Athenians led the smaller Persian navy into the narrow straits of Salamis. Persians had over 600 ships, where the Greeks had about 350. However, they were much smaller than the Persians. The Persians had so many larger ships that they couldn't maneuver well. As a result, the Greeks were able to destroy over 200 Persian ships. Those that were not destroyed turned around and returned home. All right, guys, I want you to think about this. If ships back then didn't have motors and they didn't have cannons, all right, how did those ships move? Like, how are they going to get from point A to point B? All right, so go ahead and type your response in that box. All right, moving on. All right, so obviously they would have to row. All right, like row your boat style. And when you watch the video on the next slide, it really kind of shows you how their boats worked. All right, so strategy uncovered here. If you play this clip, it's pretty good explaining how the Battle of Salamis works. The Greeks are waiting. All right, they know the Persians are going to come into this narrow strait. As soon as the Persians start to go in, all the other boats follow suit. And then literally the Greeks just row their boat and ram right into the sides of the Persian boats. It's a big game of bumper boats, but with wooden ships. And again, if you watch the video, it really helps. It's only about 4 minutes, but it really gives you an idea of what that would have looked like. And this is Darius or Xerxes watching pretty much his defeat here. All right, Battle of Plataea is the last battle of the Persian Wars. All right, so at this point, the Greeks are feeling really good. Thermopylae, yeah, they lost, but man, those guys were brave and they fought to the death. Salamis, they were outnumbered and they won. And now Plataea, everyone's kind of like amped up, like we can do this. Let's push them out once and for all. All right, there's another link down here for another video. It's about 4 minutes long. But soon after the Battle of Salamis, an army of soldiers from all over Greece beat the Persians at Plataea. This battle ended the Persian Wars, and the Persians left Greece. For the Persians, this defeat was humiliating, but it was not a major blow. Their empire remained strong for more than a century after the war. For the Greeks, the defeat of the Persians was a triumph. They had saved their homeland. So for the Persians, this is embarrassing, right? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we lost this. Like, how ridiculous. All right, but they're going to end up being a strong empire for the next 100 years. So yeah, that stinks, but so what? They're like 21 and 1, all right, instead of 21 and 0. All right, but for the Greeks, they saved their homeland, they saved their people, they saved their culture, they saved everything. If the Greeks lose here, everything, all those legacies we've talked about are done. They never even make it to us. All right, and that makes us vastly different as well. All right, and don't forget to hit this last slide here. Or the last video. All right, here's all the battles on one slide with their years in case you need it. All right, and then what I want you to do here is you're going to read and then choose which of the following words make the statements true. So is it Cyrus the Great or Darius the First let the conquered people keep their own customs and hope it would make them less likely to rebel? So I'm going to grab, all right, I'm going to have to be out of present mode, but I'm going to grab one of those circles and I'm going to drag it to the right answer. All right, and do that for 1 through 5. All right, so you got a 50-50 shot. All right, then on this one, I'm going to fill in the blanks. All right, who fought in the Battle of Marathon? Who won? What's the result? What's the next battle? Who fought? It's the Persians and the Spartans. Who's the winner? All right, what's the result? All right, and you can go back through the slides to figure those things out. And then last but not least, you're going to do the Persian Wars quizzes. And then take a screenshot of your results and paste it in here. All right, guys, so when I go back to look at yours, I'm looking to make sure you filled out all of these blue slides. You answered all those questions. And for those, there's no right or wrong answer as long as you explain. And then I'm looking to see if you filled out slide 24, 25, and 26. Again, this is for Thursday and Friday. So if you come back on Friday, you're like, oh, what am I doing? This is it. All right, we're spending 2 days on it in class. All right, if you have any questions, as always, shoot me an email, and I will talk to you guys real soon. Have a great day.